Episode 4 of True Crime with Kylie. Thank you so much for tuning back in. Before I start, again, just can't seem to fix this janky backdrop, so I apologize for that again. And there's two things that I want to show y'all that I just got that I'm really excited about. I saw this on TikTok. It's the bloody alphabet, and it's literally a coloring book with about serial killers. Can you see it? Look. Ted Bundy, B. Bundy. It's amazing. And then I also got this bad boy. What's the sitch? I need to lock my boyfriend down before he leaves me. Woo! I have so much energy today. I guess because, I've been doing nothing besides this, coloring and researching for today's episode. And by the way, this episode I'm gonna try to make it as organized as possible, but this case has so many different moving parts that it's like you can go so many different ways in it with it, and so I apologize if it's a little unorganized. Hopefully it's not, but I'm really excited about this one because this is something that a lot of people have an opinion on. And usually I like to do cases that not a lot of people know about, but this case has to be talked about. Let's be real. There were a lot of different articles and even a book I had to use for my research because, again, this case has so many different parts to it, so it wasn't one clear, concise article that had everything. So I'm not going to sit here and name them all because it's going to take a while, but I will put them in the description section below if you would like to look at them as well. This person is friends with a bunch of politicians and celebrities and owns a little island where he does his terrible things. And I know you already know who I'm about to talk about because it's on the title, but this is the case of Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was born on January 20th, 1953, if I can speak, in Brooklyn, New York. So he's, Brooklyn. I almost said Chicago. Let's try that again. He was born in Brooklyn, New York. So he's a New Yorker, Nope. Can't continue on with that accent because that was terrible. He was born in Brooklyn, New York, to Pauline and Seymour Epstein. His mother was a part-time school aide, and his father worked for the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation as a groundskeeper. And so he and his brother Mark were brought up in this middle-class lifestyle, and so it wasn't like he was one of those rich affluenza boys who, felt invincible. He became that whenever he, became a millionaire. After graduating high school, Epstein did attend two different colleges. Neither one of them he graduated from, and so he accepted a teaching position at the Dalton School. And the Dalton School is a preparatory school located in the Upper East Side. And I know you're thinking, Upper East Side, Gossip Girl, rich people. That's exactly what it was. He ended up making a really special connection with one of his students' parents, and that parent was Alan Greenberg, who was the CEO of Bear Stearns. I really want to say Bear Stearns like the Bearstein Bears, but that's not right. Bear Stearns, which is a global investment bank, securities trading, and a brokerage firm. And so, making ends with him, he's about to get far. Epstein was eventually let go from the Dalton School for his lack of performance in the effort. And when Alan Greenberg heard this, he hired Epstein on his company. And quickly, he climbed the ladder and ended up working with some of the most wealthiest clients that Bear Stearns had. And I use the quotation marks with the whole letting go thing because that's what it states happened, but knowing Jeffrey Epstein now wouldn't put it past him that something else worse happened, and that's why he was let go. In 1981, Epstein ended up leaving Bear Stearns Company and creating his own called Intercontinental Assets Group, IAG. And in this article, it kind of confused me, but again, this probably is how he got so much money. But this company helped firms that were victims of embezzling and got their money back. But they also helped embezzlers. And so, I mean, I guess that's why he literally became a billionaire, because he was playing both sides. In 1988, Jeffrey Epstein founded another company called J. Epstein and Company. It was changed to Trusted Financial Company for obvious reasons, because nobody wants their name tacked on with J. Epstein. And this company purportedly worked with billionaires only, and he worked with Leslie Wexner. I had no idea who Leslie Wexner was before I looked it up, and this is him. He is the CEO of L Brands and also Victoria's Secret. Like, ew, I don't want that old man, like, what? I don't want that man knowing the stuff they sell. Ugh. Ew. I ain't about it. Next. Bye, Leslie. Not long, like in the mid-1990s, he ended up moving. This is where it gets bad. He ended up moving his company, J. Epstein Company, or Trusted Financial Company, whatever you want to call it, to the Virgin Islands to avoid paying taxes. And y'all know the Virgin Islands is where everything went down. So this was kind of the start of the disgusting stuff that happened. Now, let's dive in to the mindset and life of Jeffrey Epstein in 2005. Jeffrey gets back from a fun couple days with his good friend Bill Clinton, who he loaned his Boeing 727 to in order to do some philanthropic work. Clinton's really good friend, Kevin Spacey, came along, and also the very famous comedian Chris Tucker. After Jeffrey came back, his assistant Sarah said, "Hey, you have a quest at 9 o'clock. And so in Jeffrey's head, he had just enough time to take a shower and have lunch and make a few phone calls before his second quest was coming at 1 o'clock. And for Jeffrey, this was just a daily routine. But according to this book by James Patterson, this day had a delicious, James Patterson used that, delicious twist to it. One of the quests coming was a first-timer to the island. Jeffrey's then whisked away in his private jet to his private island that is called Little St. James. But in Jeffrey's sicko mind, it is called Little St. Jeff's. Little St. Jeff's. Maybe. No, I'm not going to make the joke. Anyways, actually, let's make the joke. Little St. Jeff's probably refers to his... Sorry, Mom and Dad. Sorry. Moving on from that. Inappropriate, but it was there, so I had to take it kind of joke. And, I mean, we're talking about Jeffrey. You know, I can make that joke, I think. Sorry, Mom and Dad. He is walking through his $1 million mansion, and he's walking through his favorite hallway, which is designed with head to toe pieces of art of naked women. He walks into his room and opens up his closet where his most prized possession is. And in the back of his closet are tacked on photos of young girls who are naked that have visited his island previously. God, y'all, I hate this guy. For 20 years, Epstein built this huge sex trafficking ring that not only spanned throughout state lines, it spanned globally. And he not only hired recruiters, he hired a help of array of people, such as hairdressers, psychiatrists, immigration lawyers, dentists, doctors. And these doctors would give these victims birth control and also screen them for sexually transmitted diseases. Like, nah. While many of Epstein's survivors were, young girls, there is a big chunk that were girls that ranged from 18 to 23. And so this monster and his politician and celebrity friends were also preying on girls that were just entering adulthood. It is also well known that he purposefully went after girls who were vulnerable, girls who had, family issues, girls who were homeless. And that is a very, very, very common tactic that predators use to lure people in. In this next section, I'm going to be talking about the survivor stories, like what they went through. Please be aware before continuing on that there will be topics of sexual assault in this. I'm here to, be another voice for them. So please don't come at me for, discussing this, because their stories need to be heard, not just Jeffrey's. These are the real life stories of Mary, Allison, Sarah Ransom, and Virginia Giuffre. In February 2005, at 14 years old, Mary was recruited by her boyfriend Joe's cousin, Wendy. Wendy had told her that she could make more than her dad made in a day by only massaging a very rich man in Palm Beach's feet. As they turned into Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach house, Wendy told her, "Hey, if anybody asks, you're 18. And again, Mary at the time was only 14. Wendy takes Mary's hand and leads her up to the front door. At the front door were two security guards. Wendy told the security guards, "Hey, we're here to see Jeff." And these security guards were like, "Okay." And I don't know. The fact that these security guards were like, "Okay, hey, come in," whatever. They walk into their mansion and they are led to the kitchen. And there is Jeffrey and his assistant, Sarah, waiting there for him. Jeffrey tells Sarah, "Bring the girl up to the room and I'll be up there in a second." Mary describes being brought into this room with a pink and green sofa, and a bathroom off to the side, a massage table, an armoire with sex toys on it, and a giant mural with a naked woman on it. And as she was scoping out the room, she stumbled across some pictures. And what these pictures are of young girls who were naked. And one of them, she said, was a girl that she would describe like basically as a baby. Like, this girl was much younger than her. And keep in mind, Mary was 14. And so I can't even imagine how old this girl was. And she described the girl's smile as one with fear and anxiety. And what the girl was doing was pulling her underwear to the side to expose one of her butt cheeks to whoever was behind the camera. When Mary turned around, she said that there was a man standing there with white hair and just a towel on, and that he dropped the towel and walked over to the massage table and laid face down. She did mention that, I'm so sorry, Mom and Dad, that he had a little Epstein. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. He had a little Epstein, and I'm only saying that because this guy's the worst. And so he laid down, and the only time she said he talked to her is when he was giving instructions. And when he was giving instructions, he was super, like, stern in his voice. So she was terrified. So, again, she followed. He ordered her to take her pants off and then straddle him so her butt was on his butt. And when she did that, he ended up turning around and doing something to himself. And unfortunately, he made her watch that whole thing. Allison was recruited by one of Epstein's number one girls. Again, quotations, because it is believed that there were a lot of number one girls. And the way she was recruited is that she was telling this specific girl, like, how she needed extra money because she was trying to take a trip to Maine. This girl again told her, oh, you can make so just by rubbing this guy's feet for an hour. So Allison was like, okay, whatever, I'll do it. Just like Mary, Allison was led up to a room by his assistant Sarah, and Jeffrey came up and again was only wearing a towel. He told Allison, you need to take your skirt off because you're not wearing anything. I can't see anything. And as a young girl in a mansion that you've never seen before, and a man, you and him in that only room, of course you're going to do what he says. So Allison takes her skirt off, but I need to also say that she said no the first time, and he was like, you need to take it off. And so she did. When she did that, he proceeded to say, now take your shirt off, which she did. And that is when Epstein began molesting her. When she was interviewed by police, Allison begged and begged and begged police not to say anything about it, not to say her name, because it was known that if you speak, Epstein will find you and he will silence you. Which is, absolutely terrifying. I can't. Oh, God. Sarah Ransom was recruited by none other than Ghislaine Maxwell, or however you say her name. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care to know it. I don't care to know her because she's the worst. And if you don't know who Ghislaine Maxwell, short story, she is the former girlfriend of Jeffrey, and she was pretty much involved in like 3/4 of his crimes against these young girls. So she's the worst. She was recruited by her, and she even said like they would go after girls who had no home, no family, nothing, and that Jeffrey would promise these girls all these things, and so they would see Jeffrey as a hero that's going to come in and fix their lives for them. And when you would walk into this mansion, you would see all these cooks, all these chefs, all these assistants, like catering to Jeffrey's every want and need. And so they're like, okay, like it brought in air of legitimacy. And that they also thought, okay, if there's this many people working here, it can't be a sex trafficking ring because at least one of them would have said something, right? Wrong. Say something, people. Ooh. Let's talk about my girl, Virginia G. I'm not going to say her last name again because I don't want to mess it up. All of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein are amazing, courageous. Like the fact that they were able to speak out against a very dangerous man and use their voices to help others, amazing. But there was just something about Virginia that was like, don't mess with me or I'll come at you kind of attitude. And I was like, yes, girl, yes. Virginia was recruited to the island when she was 16 and she left when she was 19. And she, again, like Sarah, was one of those people that were like, this is how he got you to the island. He would promise to fix things. She told everyone that, like, he promised to pay for girls' educations. He promised girls that he would further them in their career, and that, like, at sometimes he would demonstrate that he had that power. She also said that there was a time where he hired a private dentist to come to the island and whiten everyone's teeth. And he did this as, like, a favor. Like, he's going to do this so as long as he can do what he wants to the rest of them, which is absolutely disgusting. And also that she was on the edge of a nervous breakdown, and Epstein sent her to a psychiatrist. And did this psychiatrist do anything? No. She literally told him everything that was happening on the island. Everything. The assault, the trafficking. He did nothing except prescribe her more medicine to calm her down. This is one reason why I love her. She said that she finds it so funny that all of these people that, like, worked for Epstein after he got arrested were like, oh my gosh, we had no idea. If we knew, we would have done something about it. Give me a break. You wanted fast cash, and so you did what he said. After many, many, many reports against Jeffrey Epstein, Mary's story was the final one to get him finally arrested. But on August 10th, he was found hanging in his cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Manhattan. Let's dive into that real quick, shall we? So, before I begin this tangent, I do want to say I respect anyone and everyone's opinion of what happened, okay? I'm not saying what I thought is right. I'm not saying what you thought is right. We don't know. But what leaves questions in my mind is that Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch. And what that means is that if an inmate is on suicide watch, they get literally everything taken away from them that could harm them. And 24/7 means that someone's watching you 24/7. A week before he committed suicide, he was taken off 24/7 watch. Why? Why was he taken off that? He still didn't have anything with him. He was still suicidal. Why was he taken off 24/7 watch? Lo and behold, Jeffrey Epstein found in his cell hanging. In October 2019, the Epstein family hired a medical examiner from New York named Michael Baden to go in his own investigation to examine Epstein's body because they felt that Jeffrey didn't commit suicide. Michael Baden reported that there was findings unusual to a suicide by hanging, and that he felt more that there was evidence to a ligature homicidal strangulation. But Barbara Sampson, who was the lead medical examiner for the case whenever it happened, was like, nope, it was suicidal strangulation. I'm done. That's what it was. And so we don't really know what happened. We all have our theories. I personally think it was homicide by a certain political family. I'm not going to mention their name, but you know what I'm talking about. But again, we don't know. But I can't forget to mention the accomplices in Jeffrey's sex trafficking. First up, we have Ghislaine Maxwell. Second, there is Sarah Kellen. And then we have Nadia Marchenkova. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but I don't care if I'm not. Leslie Groff. Adriana Ross. and Jean-Luc Brunel, who was the owner of the MC2 modeling agency based in Miami. Ghislaine Maxwell was actually arrested on July 2nd, 2020. So one good thing came out of 2020. She's currently in jail awaiting trial, and she is in constant fear of her life. I wonder why. And before I wrap up, can't forget the honorable mentions of those celebrities and politicians that have been to Little St. James Island. And before I show the names, I just want y'all to know that I have seen these names on multiple articles. I have done extensive research to make sure that they were there. There's pictures, there's witnesses, there's everything. There's nothing that they can say that said they were not on that island, okay? There's going to be people that you want to see on there that I'm not going to mention, and there's going to be people that are mentioned that you don't want to see on there. Okay? So, again, these are the people that were for a fact on that island. Let's start off with Les Wexner, Prince Andrew, Emmy Taylor, Sarah Kellen, obviously that's his assistant, Eva Dublin, Glenn Dublin, Jean-Luc Brunel, Nadia Marchin, whatever, I still don't know how to say her name, Bill Clinton, Marvin Minsky, Henry Jarecki. Yeah, I was surprised too. Naomi Campbell, Ron Eppinger, and Stephen Hawking. What? And that was the case of Jeffrey Epstein. I know there's a whole other pedophilic ring happening in Hollywood. It's so sad to say, and so sad that I'm about to say this, but this is just about this pedophilic ring. All I can say is we gotta save those children. We cannot let this keep happening. Thank you so much for tuning in again with True Crime with Kylie. I have a surprise announcement. That was a terrible drum, but whatever. True Crime with Kylie will now also be available on Spotify. Yeah! Yes, I'm going to be continuing my YouTube channel, but I'm also going to be putting these stories on a podcast. So make sure next week I will be on Spotify and YouTube, so make sure to subscribe on both. I'm so excited, and see y'all next week.